Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us as always on Wednesday night. We got some truck series action for you here in the Speed Racing Network, and typically we're supposed to be off here this week and next week for the holidays and to give people time to travel, but not the case tonight. We got a little bit of a catch-up race as it is there on the screen. Catch-up 125. I'm Greg Olenek with Brandon Domain as always. Brandon, are you eating any fries or anything that might need some ketchup? Because we got a lot of it for you here tonight.
None of that going right now, but I'm really interested to see who can cut the mustard tonight and wind up in victory lane here at Talladega. But, we got a couple weeks off after this one. This is going to be kind of weird, but not being able to do this for a little bit until after Thanksgiving. We get everything going back again, but why not close it out with a bang before the holidays and get some Talladega racing tonight?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm very pleased that this race is in our rearview mirrors as far as the Xfinity Series and Cup Series race goes. I would dread having this in our playoff schedule, but not the case for the truck drivers. We're going to have some Talladega action in their second race of the round of 10 here in the trucks to set them up for the elimination race in Texas after Thanksgiving. So this is the only race you get here this week on Speed Racing Network. So the trucks are going to bring it out there for you guys tonight on YouTube and Facebook. So here we go. 20-week fixed setup league. One faster pair in the truck series. These guys, as always, paying $5 a week to get in on weekly and season payouts. $300 going to that first place champion, which they're racing for right now to get a shot at that in Atlanta. 5-person teams, they're racing for a $100 team championship prize as well in their own separate playoff. So a lot going on here in Speed Racing Network, as you guys are familiar to, and it's only going to ramp up here tonight at Dega.
Yeah, and, we talk about that team championship as well. We always talk about the teamwork that comes in at these super speedways. I think that's going to be amped up even more as they go for that team playoff, but as well as these weekly payouts here for this race tonight.
Yeah, first place going to come away with $15. Second going to get $10. Third through fifth getting their money back. But the money that these guys have their eyes on is that big prize, that season payout that we're going to see here shortly. They're going to be racing for $300 going to that first place champion. And there are a lot of names in the drawing for that still contending to get into that final five. Second place going to come away with $150. Third going to get $90. Fourth going to get $60. Fifth place, if you make it to that final round in Atlanta, going to be making $40. But that's not all that's going to get paid out in Atlanta either. We're going to have a battle for 6th through 8th as well. 30 going to go to 6th, 20 going to 7th, and $10 going to 8th. So a lot to race for here at Speed Racing Network.
There absolutely is. And, we got the team title as well. It's going to come with a little bit of money with it. But at this point, we got 10 drivers left here on the individual side of the playoffs. 8 of them will be walking away with some extra money here at the end of the season. And a little bit of Christmas or Hanukkah spending money there.
Well, in case you missed it, we had a very interesting beer of the week last week, and it can kind of coincide with our Ketchup 125 tonight. Sean Griffith has our Beer Street Journal Beer of the Week.
Just when you thought every weird alcoholic drink had been invented, think again. This week's Beer of Street Journal Beer of the Week isn't even a beer at all. It's a pair of vodkas that are being released next week by Arby's. Yes, that Arby's. The fast food restaurant Arby's. Well, their fries are really good too, and those fries are the inspiration behind these vodkas. This special edition vodka is infused with crinkle and curly fry flavor, so Arby's fans who are of legal drinking age can responsibly enjoy their menu from bag to bottle. Just imagine a roast beef sandwich, a large order of fries, and a Bloody Mary made with Arby's Curly Fry Vodka. Well, that can be a reality starting November 18th when the special edition bottles go on sale. So don't miss out on Arby's Vodka. The Beer of the Week is brought to you by BeerStreetJournal.com, the leading online publication for craft beer reviews. Go to BeerStreetJournal.com to find your next great beer or other alcoholic beverage. And as always, you must be 21 to enjoy, and please drink responsibly.
It was just so good that we had to run it again this week. How can you not get enough of the Arby's vodka. I'm fairly certain this is going to be hitting the shelves any day now, too. You can get it for $54.99. Brandon, you might have a Christmas gift coming in the mail your way down there in Atlanta.
Oh my! I can't get over the price, honestly. Like, it sounds interesting, but I don't know about all that. But I mean, hey, the fries are good. You can't go wrong with those at Arby's. But yeah, that's an interesting one that just finds more ways of getting a little bit more interesting as we talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. So, and kind of, it's been a while since I've been to Arby's, and I didn't even realize they have crinkle cut fries now. So this is working on me. Not since I'm going to buy vodka, but now I might go try some of these fries. But yeah, if you guys want to learn more about Arby's vodka, go ahead to beerstreetjournal.com, and we appreciate them as always for coming on board here this year with Speed Racing Network. So moving on now, we got the Speed Racing Network Team Championship bracket here for the Truck Series. Down to 4 teams. Jonathan Byer Racing going up against Tank Racing. They got a 50-point lead over there for JBR. Rev Racing and Next Level Motorsports. This is the one that we were pumping up last week as being the big matchup, and proven to be so. Only 6 points separating them after that first race.
Yeah, 2 very level teams on the right side of the bracket, and that definitely played out as that case at Phoenix. Talladega just going to be that wild card. We've been talking about this all week and really all season once that schedule had to shift with the iRacing server issues that popped up, that this is going to be the wild card. It will be that case on the team side as well.
Yeah, taking a look at these matchups last week, Jonathan Byer Racing coming away with 1st, 8th, and 15th for their top 3 drivers. Tank Racing's top 3 going to come away with 12th, 25th, and 32nd. So Tank going to need to do a little bit better out there this week and maybe hope for some trouble, which is definitely possible at Talladega, to catch up to JBR.
Yeah, it does not take much for all chaos to break loose on the racetrack at Talladega. Tank really got hurt. Jacob Zala having some connection issues last week. That kind of bit them a little bit there, but they got 2 weeks to make up some ground. Speaking of making up ground, real tight here in this 2-3 matchup.
Yeah, actually only separated by 5 points. 98 to 103 here between Rev Racing and Next Level Motorsports. Rev's coming away with a 3rd, 5th, and 20th last week. Sean Jensick being the best out of all those. Next Level Motorsports getting a 2nd, 4th, and 14th. So this is why it's so tight right there. These guys were all practically running in the top 5 with one another, and the difference really being Stan Carnathan and Sean Kozier, 6 places there.
Yeah, that was the big difference. And looking forward to today's race, keep in mind that our only other super speedway race on the season was at Daytona. The winner of that race is Sean Jensick on Rev'd Racing, so that's something that they can go into this race with a little bit more confidence there, having that super speedway win already this season.
Yeah, taking a look out on the track right now, we see Michael Madden out there getting some qualifying, and typically you see a mix here between drivers wanting to qualify and not wanting to qualify. Beautiful new scheme there from Michael Madden, by the way, so I'm sure I will mess that one up a few times tonight, as it takes me a little while to get used to these guys' new scheme. But, it's definitely it's a thin line to walk on between the drivers who want to qualify and those who don't. Those guys in the back thinking they want to stay safe and out of trouble, when at the front you want that maybe pit box position or the track position as well to stay in front of that stuff.
Yeah, and what you just touched on is really something that I think a lot of drivers underestimate, is the value of having a further down pit road placed pit box. It goes a long way when it comes to those races off of pit road. But there's a lot of drivers that would rather sit in the back, and I've heard some interesting discussion from a lot of different drivers from different teams about that debate, and some people saying that they just want to sit in the back, some saying that this is a shorter race for a super speedway race. They just want to be up in front and not have to worry about making those moves early on trying to move through, or late in the race trying to make up ground. They would just rather sit up front, so it's really a comfort level for these guys.
Well, let's go ahead and check out Bobby Anderson as well, another one of these playoff drivers, and he sent me this paint scheme that he has out there on track tonight. And Brandon, I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but it is painted as a iRacing pace car. So I guess he's planning on pacing the field tonight.
That, or he senses a lot of danger going on out there tonight. Either way, this might be a very apt paint scheme here for Bobby Anderson, who is that guy. You see him right now sitting 5 points outside of the cut line coming into this race. He, he's one of those guys who's just continuously really good at being good enough to just keep advancing when it comes to play. Did that all last season. He's still done it to this point this year. This is one of those dark horses to keep your eye on tonight.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and check out Blair Hallman. I'm worried for Bobby Anderson, too, because I'm thinking that safety on the back might be a big target for him, but we'll see. But Blair Hallman also out there in a new paint scheme. I'm telling you, these truckers love to just change it up every week on us to just keep us on our toes. This one's a really cool one. I remember Blair posting this in the Discord earlier on this week. It says it's hunting season, so he's got that truck looking ready to go out there. But Blair has been ready to go all season and has been prepping himself for this moment to get into that Final Five. Ran really well last week. Looks to do the same tonight, but is going to need the help of his teammates probably to get him out to the front.
Yeah, it's always going to go a long way. And with Blair, I think that win at Watkins Glen really got him into this new gear that we've seen him just be incredibly strong since that point. He was really running well before that, but I think it just escalated to another level. Right now he sits there 7th in the points, 4 points behind the cut line. But, Talladega, there's always a chance that you could just move right back through.
Yeah, and you see there, he has a win on the season, so he knows how to get it done. Also has led 44 laps, which is kind of, you underestimate that. We're used to seeing this 06 truck out in front. So 44 laps, kind of not as much as I thought, and just sits 4 points outside of the cut. So he cannot have any mistakes tonight and is going to need all the luck he can get. And like you said, this short race, this is only a 50-lap restrictor plate race, so going to go by quick and fast. But another fast truck out there is going to be the 29 of Sean Jensick, one of our top contenders heading into the playoffs, and has kept up the momentum, winning one of the races already during the playoffs, up to 3 wins on the season, tied for first with Landon Cardulo. So led 61 laps. So he is one of those guys that likes to strike late and 7 points above the cut line. So this might be the perfect race for Sean Jensick. He won Daytona earlier this year on a surprise pass on the last lap. Could this be his night?
It very well could be his night, and you saw that cut, also a very good number, 12 above the cut for Landon Cardulo, who did win last week, does have the points lead coming into this race, but, he's sitting there, like I just said, 12 points above. A race like Talladega, that can go by in a snap, so he's going to have to be very careful protecting those positions and really thinking big picture at a track as dangerous as this one tonight.
Yeah, it has a ton of momentum after his win last week. That Ghirardelli chocolate truck looking so delicious out there, just kind of cruising along below that yellow line, though. Pretty sure he's already turned in his lap. Not seeing a time, though, so not sure what this 13's doing, but look at all those laps led. 234. He's first in both of these statistical categories, tied with Jensick for the most wins, and by far has the most laps led. So this guy looking like he might be our top contender to take the title in Atlanta. Well, not anybody else out on track, so we'll go ahead and introduce you guys to the rest of them. We got Brad Herman, who has also been on a tear late in the playoffs. 2 wins this season, average start 6th, average finish 9th. Known as Mr. Reliable, only finished outside the top 7 twice this season.
Yeah, just continues to find ways to put his truck in good places. Doesn't really get into any danger. Just real smart racer. Be aggressive when he has to, but just really good about keeping that truck up in front.
Another one that we see up front a lot is a rookie, Lucas Lyons, running as an independent. Best finish, still looking for that first win of 2nd. Average start 11th, average finish 15th. Mr. Middle of the road, at or near the middle in average start, average finish, incidents, top 5s, top 10s, pretty much everything you got.
Yeah, that's a interesting place to be in, but it's got him above that cut line right now. Bobby Anderson, one of our drivers behind the cut line, just by 5 points. Currently sitting on the provisional pole, though, so that might be a great start for the man in the safety truck tonight. And we call him Mr. Underdog, lowest average finish of all the playoff drivers, but as I said earlier, just one of those guys that can keep moving forward.
Yeah, must be having a feeling that he is going to pace the field tonight in that safety car. So moving on now, let's check out Kyle Wimble out of North Carolina. Best finish of third. He's been up in the top 5 a bunch this season. So those numbers of 18th and 16th for his average start and finish really don't say how strong that number 3 truck is. Mr. Hot Hand is what he's known as. And then, let's go ahead and get in Jacob Zala before we get out to the grid here as well. Tank Racing's Jacob Zala. 1 win on the season at Darlington. Mr. Just Keep Going. Only 1 clean race so far. Second highest incident rating. But he gets the top 10 in 50% of his races. So he gets it done at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a dangerous spot to be in when you only got that 1 incident point, 1 incident-free race at a track like this one, but that can go a long way if that second one comes tonight.
All right, well, let's get out to Talladega Super Speedway for the Ketchup 125. Bobby Anderson, like you said, on the pole with a time of 56.086. Not too far behind him is going to be Troy Techmeyer for Next Level Motorsports. Good to see him out in front. Dom Milkowicz from Stryker Motorsports going to be starting third, and Mike Mosby out of Zuyos starting fourth.
In row number 3, we'll have Stan Carnathan in the 5th spot, riding inside of that row. Jacob Zala going to be our second of the playoff drivers in the field. He'll be starting in the 6th position. 7th place is going to be Lucas Lyons, first driver above the cut line coming into this race in the field here in 7th. And in 8th place, Kevin Winker, our Tier 2 playoff leader.
And starting 9th is going to be Blair Holloman in that 06 machine out of Zuyos Racing. 10th place is going to be Dave Hughes Jr., also out of Zuyos. So a lot of Zuyos trucks up here could pay dividends for Blair Holloman. Cody Riggs starting in 11th for Rev Racing. And Sean Jensick out of Rev Racing rounding out our top 12. So, Brandon, I think you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing here. There's only 2 green numbers, which for those that don't know, those are drivers that are above the cut line to move on to the top 5. So this could be a big day for those trucks needing some points.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this now, and those that have not qualified, and I'm looking at Landon Cardulo. We saw him just kind of take that lap on the apron, didn't actually post an official time, and then you're looking at Sean Jensick, Michael Madden. They're going to be outside of the top 10. Brad Herman did not take a lap in 20th place. Jonathan Byer not taking a lap in 19th place. So we're seeing a lot of these playoff drivers just deciding to sit in the back of the field once we get things started at Talladega.
All right, well, let's go ahead and watch these guys fire up and get off on the grid. It is going to be absolute chaos. And not sure if we touched on Jonathan Byer. We may have, but we don't want to leave any of our playoff drivers out. This is going to be my pick for tonight. Jonathan Byer gets it done for Jonathan Byer Racing, helps his case and moving into the top 5 tonight. 2 wins on the season, 87 laps led, sits 3 points outside the cut, has had a really tough time in the playoffs to get any type of traction. And I think tonight he's going to get that monkey off his back and get a win in the playoffs and help his case towards Atlanta.
Yeah, been a sketchy playoff run for the regular season points champion through the first 4 races. My pick tonight, I'm actually going to break one of my rules that I've been doing where I haven't picked one of my teammates and Stryker. I'm actually going to go with the 42 of Kevin Winker tonight. There's 2 different types of guys out on these racetracks when it comes to the super speedways. People that just try to get through them and people that seem to enjoy them. And this is one of those guys that really seems to enjoy it. Had a good run going at Daytona, wound up on the podium there with a 3rd place finish. I think he'll put together a strong performance tonight and increase that lead in the Tier 2 championship.
A super cool paint scheme too. I'm not sure I've ever seen a Dale Jr. paint scheme on a truck like this. I always loved this Amp Energy, National Guard, Mountain Dew type of paint scheme when he first moved over to Hendrick Motorsports. So super cool seeing that out there. Definitely a good paint scheme to have when you're at super speedways.
Yeah, that's a paint scheme that apparently you're not supposed to think about some things because somebody else won 10, and we won't go with the full line there that Dale Jr. had, but Kevin Winker looking for that one win here at Talladega today, and just think he's going to be real strong as we get ready to go.
Well, the pace truck pacing the field still, but not the actual pace truck. It's Bobby Anderson out in front, qualified on the pole tonight, going to have the field in his hands, and we are green here at Talladega as we get this awesome shot of these trucks getting up to speed as they head towards turn 1.
And now it's the big waiting game. When do you move down to the inside? Do you move to the inside? How do you start this chess match going around this 2.66 mile tri-oval? It is just all go, no letting off the throttle unless trouble breaks out in front of you. And it couldn't be worked out any better that we got the pace truck looking paint scheme out there leading the field down the back straightaway for the very first time.
Yeah, it's really taking no time for these guys to get down to the bottom lane as that inside line is really forming up really nicely. Is thinking about going 3 wide back there. It looks like if, there, Techmeyer kind of gets back up in front of Mike Mosby. I was a little worried for a second. We might get a little too racy here on lap 1, but here we come back to the stripe. Bobby Anderson gonna lead this first lap, being pushed by Dom Milkowicz, Stan Carnathan just behind them. So a whole new mix of names that we are not used to seeing run up here this season, running up towards the front. And that's kind of one of the beauties of super speedway racing.
Yeah, hey, if you're running, you got a shot to get the win here at Talladega, Daytona, those tracks, and seeing a little bit of strategy, I think it is, with a couple of Rev Racing drivers, Sean Kozier, Michael Madden, started to run down the apron and just letting some guys by. And this is something that you see a lot of drivers do on these super speedways, just kind of start up front, they run that qualifying, see where that's going to shake out, not really love their position, and then just decide, you know what, I'm just going to drop back and let things happen out in front of me.
Yeah, it's a very interesting sight that I'm seeing from my blimp cam right now. It is all sorts of scattered out there on the track, and we've got 6 trucks up on that outside line, starting to form up pretty nicely. So we might have some side-by-side racing shaping up here shortly, up towards the front. But as for the rest of the pack, you see it really single-filed and separated there in the back. That's going to really be hard for these trucks out there, probably past 20th, to keep in tow with that draft of the lead pack. So these guys have an opportunity to pull away and put some time on the second pack, which is kind of what those guys want. But also at the same time, you can't not afford to lose too much time to these guys.
No, not at all. And this is one of those things that all these guys back from about 20th on back, they're really banking on a caution coming up because they're starting to lose that draft quite a bit here. They still have a little bit of that toe. They can pull back in, but they've really got to work together. If a caution doesn't come out, they're going to be in trouble even this early. So they're really banking on that yellow flag.
Yeah, and we see a new name heading up towards the front. It's Blair Holloman in the 06 out of Zeost Racing. Just want to give his brother, Dustin, a shout out, say happy birthday. We appreciate him for always tuning in to watch the races and watch his brother do really well. So happy birthday, Dustin. He's got it right there on the hood with the emojis and everything. So super cool shout out as Blair takes the lead and gets down to the bottom line. So he has the preferred position out of all these guys. He's got the clean air and he's got the lead.
He's looking real stout out there in that 06 truck, but now you got another outside run. This time it's Troy Techmeyer trying to get his nose out in front of the line. I think I just saw somebody blinking there a little bit. That's a little nervy for everybody in line at a super speedway, but looks like that's gotten cleared up. But side by side, nose to nose here, going for the race lead through 1 and 2.
Looks like it's Don Milkowicz blinking there. So Bobby Anderson opting to do what we saw the Rev Racing trucks do a few laps ago, gets down on the bottom. He's going to need to get back up here as you see him come back above that yellow line. And he's just going to try and separate himself a little bit from these guys as it's getting a little racy up towards the front. And he's not feeling it right now, so he's going to drop back a little bit. He has a lot to race for, so he's got to play this thing just right as all of these playoff drivers do. So we will keep an eye on that safety truck out there, see how he fares throughout the course of this race. But now it's a drag race up front. Kevin Winker and Troy Techmeyer leading both of the lanes.
I'm really interested in how this is working right now because we keep seeing that outside line. The lead truck keeps getting out in front and then sliding back down to the inside to block the rest of that line. And that outside line keeps getting shorter and shorter, yet it's still maintaining the momentum incredibly well, despite just being 3 on about 8 right now at this point, and really still being a threat to take the lead with just those 3 trucks up high.
Well, I got some bad news for Dustin. His brother Blair taking the safe route, also dropping out of this pack. You can see he's leading that second pack back there now, so he is just in front of Bobby Anderson. So we still have a battle up front between Kevin Winker and Troy Techmeyer. Not much changing there, but less cars in this lead pack.
Yeah, this is really interesting, and I think this is a big sign of playoff racing being a big factor in this one. A lot of guys just not wanting to put their truck in anywhere near a rough situation and just really playing safe. Because we're seeing, this is almost like Tour de France kind of stuff right now with, contact there. Oh, wow. I'm not sure if there was a little contact between the 3 and the 42 and trying to shake up that line a little bit. And maybe that got the 42 loose, or just Kevin Winker in that truck just misread that a little bit and made that contact to the door of Troy Techmeyer on the inside. But it might work out for Kevin Winker, who's got a big run, but now he's got a big run to the outside of him with Kyle Wimble.
Yeah, he can't fight this too hard. Kyle Wimble, one of the more aggressive drivers, you could say, in the truck series. He wants to get up to the front, so he takes it upon himself to make the move on the outside of Kevin Winker. Kevin, wanted to jump up there, but really didn't want to push it, so he's going to fall into the back of this pack and live to see another day. But now Wimble has his teammate James Kerr sliding up in front of him. Whoa, big move by Wimble. He's in the wall. Saves it, but loses a lot of momentum at the same time. That moves Michael York up to the second truck in the top lane. Kyle Wimble going to try and find a spot to slide in here, maybe behind Jason Kranke to keep momentum, but I'm worried that truck might have some significant damage on the right side now, which could be huge at a super speedway.
I mean, even light damage could be big here at Talladega with how aero-sensitive everything's going to be, and I really got to question. I know that's the style of racing that Kyle's comfortable with, being one of the more aggressive drivers out there, but I think there's a time and a place, and when you're trying to make up that ground in the playoff side on the middle leg of these 3 with this many laps to go, 42 to go at Talladega, I don't think that's really the time nor the place to be as aggressive as he's been there for the last couple of laps, and unfortunately that seemed to have bit him there a little bit. Hopefully not as bad, and he can, for his sake, stay in the race here.
Yeah, well, I think that message has kind of spread across the rest of the field now. Everybody getting single file. Got a little dicey there for a second, and that's all it takes is a truck getting into the wall and coming down a little bit too much to get off the wall. It's really hard to get off the wall in these trucks, so good move by Wimble to not lose too much position. I mean, he only fell back to 8th and potentially saving his race and his playoffs for that matter, but right now, Next Level Motorsports is getting after it. 3 of the top 4 trucks out in front. And that's not even including Brad Rivers and Brad Herman, who are usually their top contending trucks every week.
Yeah, those 2 are sitting back in the 27th and 28th positions right now, and I was real curious while we saw Kevin Winker move to the outside all by himself there in that single formation line, and then all of a sudden everybody else just started jumping to the outside. I think he kind of led that charge and then dove right back down to the inside, which seems to be the preferred line once you're up in front for sure. And he's starting to pick off positions because of that move, so a lot of guys got baited going high, and it just has not worked.
You got to be really careful here if you're Next Level Motorsports. They almost had that line formed up, and then another couple trucks dropped back down, but Stanton Carnathan had a moment there going through turns 3 and 4 as he got pushed by Michael York. Got to be real careful with Techmeyer out in front as well. It could ruin a really... Whoa, they get really squirrely again. Hooking bumpers heading into turn 1. This is what a lot of these guys are seeing, and that's why they're wanting to drop back to this second pack that we're going to take a look at right here and check in. You just see how much of a different racing. Right as we break away from it. Troy Techmeyer involved. This could have been exactly what I was talking about.
Techmeyer involved. I saw Don Milkowitz hit hard on the inside wall, and looks like we got a couple of others involved as well in this one. But I believe I see Stan Carnathan caught up in this as we go to the Beer Street Journal Rec Replay for the first time of the night here on lap number 11.
Yeah, broke away just as this was happening. Take a look at that second pack. Let's look at what happens exactly here. And it's exactly what we were talking about. Hooking bumpers between Michael York and Stan Carnathan brought them down into their teammate. Next Level Motorsports had 3 of the top 4 positions, but just too hard a pushing right here by the 5 truck. Upsets. And Brandon, you can speak to this being a truck driver last season. You would think that these trucks really are friendly when it comes to pushing, but it's not the case. It really lifts up the back end and almost makes it feel like you're driving on ice. So that is exactly what we just saw.
Yeah, and it's not so bad on the straightaways. When you're going down that back straightaway, you can push all day and be just fine. But it's when you go into the turn, and especially when you come out of the turn, those trucks get real light, and it does not take a whole lot of pressure to get the truck in front of you turned around like we just saw. And that was just all doing a bump draft at the absolute worst time on the racetrack that really just ruined that race for 3 of our top contenders early.
All right, well, let's go ahead and see if we're going to get any pit stops here. Not sure. Yeah, we're going to see just about everybody come down here and possibly get 4 tires. It's always a strategy call here, whether you want to get tires and fuel or just fuel, because the tires really don't wear too much.
Yeah, you can get away with 2 tires, or just because you're going to be filling up the tank anyway, you might as well get some on there. You can be just fine with no tires around here. It's not really a tire sensitive track, just because you're just going to be going flat out. It's not going to give you a whole lot of an advantage, and I think we're seeing a lot of no tire stops, maybe 2 tires, but it's going to be Kevin Winker first off pit road, James Kerr going to be right behind him, and then Lucas Lyons in third.
Yeah, it's really going to shake up the field. Right now, seems like Blair Holloman taking quite a lengthy pit stop here, as are a few other guys. He might have been one of the trucks maybe getting some damage from that incident. Or maybe just wanting to go to the back. Another strategy here is just sitting in your stall waiting for trucks to go by. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing with that, because he doesn't have any damage, and he also has a fast repair if he did have any damage. So I think he is just camping out and waiting for a lot of these guys to go on by. So let's go ahead and try and bring Blair up into the SRN booth to kind of pick his brain maybe for a second in that 06 truck as he finally exits pit road. A really lengthy pit stop there. Blair, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up in the booth. Saw you sitting in the pit box for a little bit trying to get to the back of the pack, I take?
Yeah, I want to try to get to the back of the pack for a little bit. The goal, beginning of the race, is I wanted to lead a lap. I was able to do that, so I feel like the safe space or safe spot for right now is to be as far back as I can.
Well, and honestly, I would probably be doing the same thing because we saw a lot of raciness up there, up at the front of the field. Did that take you catch you a little bit off guard, seeing how aggressive some of the racing has been up there?
I mean, it did, but with it being a playoff and a super speedway race, you kind of expect that race of desperation, so to say. One note I am keeping an eye on is how that high side had that run earlier, so I at least know that there will be speed with the other lines throughout the race here.
Yeah, and it's just a different type of monster trying to navigate a playoff race at a super speedway, but we have no doubt you can get it done, Blair. Before we send you back down to your truck, I know you got a little bit of a special shout out to give. It's your brother's birthday.
Yeah, it is. I want to say happy birthday to Dustin. I know he's watching the race, and I hope he's having a good one there.
We do too, man, and we hope you have a good one. Stay safe out there, and best of luck tonight, bud.
Thank you, guys.
There you have it. Blair Holman doing exactly what we thought he was, just camping out. And it's just, man, people really think of super speedway racing as boring and, not much going on. When we know that's not the case. There are a number of games happening out there on the track, and that was one of them. Just, taking as much time as he wanted to in the pit stop. He essentially pulled a Days of Thunder, got out, went to get some ice cream with the team, and got back out there in time to get back in to the back of the pack, and it's a smart strategy a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there was a little part of me that thought maybe it was a bathroom break or something during the caution, but honestly, I don't, not many people have done what he did there, just sitting in the pit longer. You'll see a lot of people dive below the yellow line and just ride the apron and then kind of move back, but there's a little bit of risk in that if something happens nearby while you're doing that. So just staying on pit road, letting everybody go by, that's actually a really smart way to do it.
Yeah, and I saw another playoff truck back there with him, Sean Jensick, also doing the same thing. So it's a matter of where you're comfortable. We see one driver above the cut line sitting in the top 10 right now. That's Lucas Lyons. He's up in third, and we saw how aggressive this racing was getting up here. He saw it too. He was racing up here with these guys. So this is a choice for the 7 to come up here and race, but it gives you a little more confidence when you still have that fast repair in your back pocket.
That it does, and we're really seeing those two different strategies, though, because you mentioned Lucas Lyons. The other 4, the highest placed driver that is above the cut line right now is 21st, and that's Landon Cardulo. So everybody else just riding in the back, letting all the chaos happen in front of them. Their only fear is going to be that nothing happens the rest of the way. They give it too much space, and they're trapped.
Yeah, they got to make sure they keep contact with that front pack, and you're right. If it does stay green, anything is possible. Green flag pit stops can really shake up how this field looks. We had a good first run there. Could we possibly get a run all the way to the end? We'll have to find out. But Kevin Winker and that beautiful Dale Jr. scheme going to have the field in his hands as they come to the start-finish line. He gets a good jump, and Lucas goes right with him in that 7 truck. So move the 7 up to second. You see James Kerr, Bobby Anderson, and Jacob Zala all slide down right in front of Jason Kratke. So the top 8 going to single out real fast.
Yeah, this is the one track that you don't want to have a good jump on the restart, but that actually played out pretty perfect, where you had Lucas Lyons pushing him, and then there was a gap for all 3 of those drivers that were still on the high side to slide back down, get single file. That actually worked out perfect.
Yeah, so your top 10 as they stand: Winker, Lyons, Kerr, Anderson, Zala in your top 5, Kratke, AJ Pritchett, Josh Mueller, Andrew Harris, and Joseph DuPont. So it's a little bit of a different mix up here up front from what we saw in that first stint, and now everybody's single filing out trying to get this thing going for the long haul.
I think a lot of people learned a lesson from those first 14 laps that we saw. A few near misses on some incidents, and then that big wreck that took out 3 of the top 4 drivers coming out of turn 2 to bring out that caution. Everybody now just sorting out single file, probably talking with their teammates a little bit to start figuring out how they want to get lined up and start working together if they're near each other at this point.
Well, I think that this is not what those guys sitting in the back wanted to see. I think they were expecting the aggressive racing to keep up, and now the whole line from first to last is single file. And those guys in the back, I'm not sure if we can take a blimp shot if it's set up to see really the whole field, but in the back, they're kind of starting to lose touch with the main pack here. So this could be big. You see Mike Mosby right there in that 99 truck, the kind of orange or red truck. That's kind of where it starts to break up, and these guys are really separated. So when they're not really nose to tail, they're not as fast as this lead pack. So that's something to keep an eye on here. You're going to probably see a little more aggression come out of these guys in the back to say, hey, we got to keep up, and I'm going to pass you now to try and catch back up to this pack.
Yeah, and that's that tough debate when you're sitting there in the back a little bit and giving that gap. You know that you got about 6-7 tenths of a second of an interval. You'll still feel a pretty strong draft from the truck in front of you, and you can catch up somewhat quickly. But that does put you in a weird spot, though, because if you don't have any help behind you and those trucks in front have it all sorted out and they all get tight single file, they can still get enough gap and enough power to start pulling away if it lines up in the wrong way. So you are running that risk when you're back there. I think it's that danger zone. If you start seeing that 0.6, 0.7 on your relative screen that shows you the interval, if it starts showing 0.8, 0.9, you're in trouble. You might be losing that pack pretty quickly.
Yeah, I've been following that 32 truck that we could see at the front of this shot right here. He was passing trucks on his own. We're going to see him do it again right here, as he's one of those guys, I was just saying, does not want to lose the pack. He's not going to be able to get by the 64 of Walt Lipicki this time, but he was pulling off some really amazing side drafts this last lap. It probably passed 4 or 5 trucks on his own, which says a lot about the speed of that 32.
And that's a good way to actually start jumping that line a little bit and using the single file advantage to your benefit. If you're really good at the side drafting, risk that you run is that it's not real life. You know, it's iRacing. Every now and then old Uncle Netcode kind of jumps up there and gets you. So that's one of those risks that you run when you start doing the side drafting, especially at a track like this. So you got to make sure that you keep it tight, but you also got to really be careful about how close you get to those trucks near you to really pull that off.
Not sure if we can go back to Mike Mosby again to kind of see the separation that is happening back here, and this is not what these guys want. You see how these guys behind, I'm not sure who that is. It's Blair Holloman just behind him. So he is the last guy in this pack, I'd say, is really in this draft. The rest of the guys behind him have officially lost that lead pack draft, and that could be by strategy, but again, I don't think it's by design. Because these guys are going to considerably lose some time now. And Michael Madden right there, one of our playoff drivers. Sean Jensick also back here. These guys are going to start sweating a little bit if this thing starts to stay green.
Back up front, we got 3 wide starting to build. Wow. There we go, as we got one trapped in the middle. That's going to be Lucas Lyons in the 7. He's in the sucker hole right now with no help behind him. And now moving up to the front, riding that high line up by the walls. Jacob Zala to the front for the first time.
Yeah, this is... It's not easy, but it's the easier of the super speedways to run 3 wide here. Much wider than Daytona, even though you won't be able to tell on screen. And the thing that helps the most is the dotted lines on the track. It really sets up the lanes of where you should be. And, you know, you don't really want to cross over that if you know you are 3 wide. So great job by these guys on following those lines and staying in their lanes and making that pass happen and making some good racing.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. You know, Daytona, we start seeing 3 wide early on in a race, and you'll hear people get on the radio like, what are you doing? It's early. Why are you going 3 wide? Talladega, you go 3 wide all day, and nobody really bats an eye too much at it. Yeah. Just because you have an extra, I believe it's an extra 10 feet of space.
Yeah, it's a ton of room.
Yeah, it's so much. It's almost an extra truck that you can fit in there. So really, I mean, we could see 4 wide once we get near the end of this thing, and that is still something that can definitely work around here.
Yeah, just, you know, totally different tracks, even though they're considered essentially the same. When you go to Daytona, it's a very white-knuckle driving the whole time. Here, it's more relaxed, even though you're not relaxed, but you get the point. But it's kind of backing up here. If we go back to A.J. Pritchett, somebody who was blinking back here not too long ago and kind of wadded up this field, so we're starting to see a second lane form about maybe 10 rows back and see if anybody else is able to get in this line outside.
And this is what those guys in the back of the back half of the field were really wanting to see, that single file started to break up that bit. They're starting to kind of get back there, kind of edging out to 2 wide here with Joseph DuPont trying to make the outside work. But for the most part, they got back to single file. But for those couple laps when they were going 2-3 wide, that gave that opportunity for the back half, if they were still single file, to absolutely start charging back up towards this group.
Well, the way this 88 is side drafting his way up to the front, I was going to say if nobody gets in front of him, this 88 will be leading the race here shortly. But the 42 of Kevin Winker hops out in front and takes the lead from Jacob Zala with a big push from Joseph DuPont, Lucas Lyons, and now Troy Techmeyer back up to 7.
We were talking earlier about how light these trucks can get, how the straightaways are normally pretty safe, but you could still see right after making that dive up to the outside to take the lead on that line, still pretty light on that 42 when he was getting shoved from the 88, and he got that nose a little bit squirrely there as we're still side-by-side coming to the line. That lap going to be led by Kevin Winker by less than 0.02 of a second.
It all makes sense when you really think about the draft. These guys are getting their nose right up on the bumper, essentially, you know, pushing these guys. Well, that's going to take all of that air off of that huge. Jacob Zala gets a little bit of help there. I think it might have been a push that might have pushed him down to the inside. He's going to get back up on track here just in front of AJ Pritchett. But yeah, all that air off of that rear spoiler does exactly what we just saw, and it will send that truck just flying. It just feels like you're driving on ice. It's the most. It's kind of crazy when you really are in the truck and feel it.
Yeah, it's like the best way I've heard it put is there's two ways. One, for anybody that's driving on the road, just imagine that you're going out, you're turning out onto making a sharp right turn, and it's just started raining, and that asphalt gets a little bit slick, and you just kind of feel those tires spin that little bit and all that. That's kind of one way I've heard that described. The other one is more of a physics thing. Once these trucks get as light as they can be, going either down the straightaway, going out of the turn especially, you can stick your finger and touch the left rear of that truck, and that truck could very likely turn around. Yeah. That's how light these things get, and how little energy it takes to really start to create issues for these guys up front and really cause those big wrecks.
Yeah, and we like to toot iRacing's horn all the time, and we love the sim and whatnot, but it really they really did a good job with the feel of these trucks at super speedways. So really on point with the sim, and these guys are battling it tonight and doing a great job, as we've only seen one incident so far as we cross the stripe to take lap 25. After this lap, we'll be halfway through this race.
Yeah, super quick race that we're seeing thus far. This is almost more like the Bud Shootout kind of race, or one of the I think it's still the Gatorade duels, whatever they call them now. There's real quick races for super speedways, and that's where that strategy can bite some of those guys that are sitting in the back. Oh, wow. And they still save it. Going to be going 3 wide here, going down into turn 3. Not sure how they saved that, but Bobby Anderson and Lucas Lyons going to ride up by the wall along with Brad Rivers, trying to make that ultra-high line work for the lead, and not really going to get that done as broken up as they got.
Yeah, leave it to the safety truck to get out in front of this field and try and pace them. But yeah, real aggressive move by Bobby Anderson there. Gets him out in front of this line, just in front of Joseph DuPont, who seems to be the fastest truck on this outside line. Really doing well with the side draft and slowing that inside line up. I think they're going to push this 18 out to the front, which is music to Bobby Anderson's ears, because he needs all the points he can get. Wow, James Kerr gets really close there. Got to be careful to not slide up too much. But yeah, right now, I think we're going to see Bobby Anderson get a really big push here from Joseph DuPont. And there you see Corey Knight just behind Joseph DuPont. So the do-gooders having a show out here, as Corey Knight in 5th, trying to push this high line to the front.
They're doing a fantastic job on that outside line. The do-gooders with their best race of the season thus far, all sitting there inside the top 10 with 3 of their drivers, all really inside the top 7 actually, as we still got that side-by-side. Bobby Anderson up high, Kevin Winker down low. This to lead at halfway. Nothing on the line for it, just a nice little note there. But going side-by-side, give the lap to Bobby Anderson, and the pace truck is going to be leading here at Talladega.
It's just, you look at that left side scoring pylon, and you really just see how this race is being treated. There are 8 drivers not even in the playoffs, in the top 10. Bobby Anderson, who's outside the top 5, trying to lead this thing, which makes all the sense in the world. And then one driver in Lucas Lyons sitting in 10th. So there are no playoff drivers in sight. Everybody just kind of hanging out in the back. Not sure if we can check in on Michael Madden to see how that pack is doing. They're trying so hard to keep touch with that front pack, but I'm not sure if Jonathan Byer is within distance to draft back up there. There's honestly 4 packs right now in the field, and the front pack is 3 wide, so we should go back up to the front and check that out.
3 wide once again, as it's Bobby Anderson holding that middle still up in front. Kevin Winker still trying to get that inside line to pull back out in front, with James Kerr pushing Lucas Lyons on the outside. And this is a real sketchy feeling. We talk about how 3 wide is possible. If there's a way we can get on board here with James Kerr behind him, and this is going to be one of those things, if you haven't been on iRacing, it tells you a whole lot. Whoa. That's an awkward. The one thing this you still can see is how little is what's going on in front. All you see is the back bumper of that truck in front. That you see the spoiler. You see so little of the racetrack, so you're almost playing a guessing game of where the turn is and where the person in front of you is going to be moving. It is so treacherous to do a proper push around this racetrack, and they've made it work really well this far.
Were we a fish just then? I just felt like a fisheye lens or something there. Not too sure.
It was a good idea, Jerry.
As our producer's just laughing in our ears, he's just having a time. But no, that was a good little surprise. But yeah, James Kerr is a little white knuckle right now in that 75. It's just really hard to see anything in his position, but kind of sorting itself out now as that middle lane starting to fall back a little bit, and that inside line is going to take over.
That inside line really regrouping here as now we get the real long arm view from Bobby Anderson. There we go. Now
live updates.
Yeah, I just had to hit that power button on the seat and slide it forward there that little bit. But here's a better look at what I was talking about a minute ago. And if you've never been on iRacing, this is a good look at what you see in front of you when you're in this drafting situation. I mean, look at this turn. You can barely tell. And this is still with about half a truck length between the two. When you really get into that shoving position, which hopefully James can do going down the backstretch and really make this point good, I mean, here's a better look from Joseph DuPont. How little of the track you see in front of you. You don't know where that turn is up until you're actually in it, especially huge.
Oh, that's not good.
You get a big push from
that's not good. You could just tell from the accordion that was not good. There was a big check up there just in front of Joseph DuPont, and I mean, nothing he could do. But that's all it takes is to just, that accordion effect alone will devastate people's nights.
And very much on the same point. When that starts backing up like that, and all you have is the sight of the tailgate and the spoiler in front of you, you don't know what's going on in front of that truck. And so when one checks up, and the other one checks up right in front of you, you're just along for the ride at that point. Hopefully your reflexes are good enough to do that, and hopefully the person behind you has the reflexes good enough. And that, oh wow, Lucas Lyons actually went for a nice little roll there, going down the back straightaway. That's not uncommon at all in Talladega, but that is going to be a huge hit there for the 7 truck.
And we've talked about it all night. This is why those playoff guys were in the back of the pack and not up here. Nothing Lucas Lyons did wrong here. He's just wrong place, wrong time, and that's usually the case at super speedways. But Taylor Smith was behind Joseph DuPont, who we were riding along with. So he, along with what you said, just had no clue that big checkup was coming and just kind of got squeezed out of that spot.
Yeah, and it really just looked like, I'm not too sure if it was DuPont that had the big run or if it was the truck in front of him that had it, and then the big run from DuPont kind of caught up to that. It could be any sort of that line. But whatever happened, when Joseph DuPont hit that back, the tailgate there of the 54 of Jason Kratke, it checked him up hard, and there was just nowhere for Taylor Smith to go. And when he kind of hit that back bumper of Joseph DuPont, he got hit in the back from Corey Knight, and then that's where everything just broke loose.
Well, now that leaves one playoff driver, our leader, inside the top 10. Bobby Anderson brings them all down pit road to get potentially 4 tires, fuel, maybe a half tank fuel. I'm not sure what their fuel load is, but I'm pretty sure they're going to want to fill this thing up the whole way in case we get a couple green-white checkers at the end.
That's the big thing right there. They can make it the rest of the way if it runs green from here, but you don't want to be gambling that caution comes out, get some overtime laps in there, and then you're left hanging out to dry and stuck in the back with 2 laps to go of green flag racing, and it looks like everybody taking a full tank. It's going to be Bobby Anderson 1, Kevin Winker 2, James Kerr 3 heading off pit road.
Yeah, so not much change there. These guys have been running up towards the front all night. Techmeyer as well, Kratke up there. AJ, Pritchett, DuPont, Harris, Zala now inside the top 10. So he picks up some spots to maybe make his way up towards the front, and Taylor Smith rounding out the top 10. Oh, well, hearing from my producer that he is asking who I want to bring up. I want to hear from somebody we don't usually hear from. So let's see if we can bring up Troy Techmeyer up to the booth. He's been having a great day in that 32 truck for Next Level Motorsports. And I know he's not had the season that he has wanted in his first season in the truck series, but trying to make a name for himself tonight. Troy Techmeyer, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up in the booth, having a great run out there in that 32 Chevrolet today. How you feeling, man? Troy Techmeyer, it's Greg Olenek up in the...
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. You got me. Okay, good. So, did you hear my question, or do you need me to repeat it for you?
Oh, yeah. It's feeling good. I love Talladega. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I mean, you look real comfortable up there, been up in front most of this race here thus far. Yeah, you feel like we're going to get some green flag racing in here these last 20 laps, or do you think that aggressiveness that we've seen in patches here in the first 30 laps is just going to get more and more intense out there?
I have a feeling we're going to get a good 10, 15 green flags in, and it's going to start to get crazy.
All right, man. Well, we just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a shout out. You've been running great tonight in that 32 truck after getting into a little bit of trouble early on. So we'll send you back down to your team, and good luck, man, these last 20 laps.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, that was our 4th place runner, Troy Techmeyer, in the 32 truck for Next Level Motorsports. Running for TJ's team, a great charity that they all run for out of Next Level Motorsports. So hoping to put that truck in victory lane tonight, but we're going to start getting these things side by side all the way through the field. And Brandon, I have a feeling it's going to stay this way for the next 18 laps.
Yeah, we got no more green flag pit stops that are going to be needed, and that's normally the sound that everybody waits for. Once you get out there, no more pit stops. That's when it's go time at these restrictor plate tracks, or I still say restrictor plate. These super speedways, not really.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, not a restrictor plate anymore. But yeah, I mean that's kind of that bell that rings there. And 20 laps to go, 17 to go. Once we get to the green flag here, I think we're going to see this thing get real dicey.
Yeah, so there you see it. We got 2 pace trucks out there on the track as Bobby Anderson's still out in front. The big old safety on his tailgate's working so far, as he's not found himself getting into any trouble yet. So just got to bring it home these next 18 laps and could be setting himself up for a heck of a night, because you see it there. Look at all the blue windshields you see in the back. You could see about 7 or 8 of those trucks back there from about 18th on back.
Yeah, and 18th is where actually it's going to be Landon Cardulo. That is the highest placed driver above the cut line at this point in the race, sitting in the 18th position. So that's going to be a real interesting story to follow the rest of the way, and how these 5 drivers above that cut line start making their way through the field. But if they can do it cleanly is the big thing, because one wrong move and the whole field wipes out behind them.
Yeah, and I want to go up and bring up a point too. Jonathan iRacing obviously has had a fantastic season as a team, but right now, Landon Cardulo, like you said, the only one sitting inside the cut. He is behind his 2 teammates that are outside the cut, Kyle Wimble and Jonathan Byer, who are looking to make up as many points as they can get. So, something's got to give here. That's going to cost Landon points and maybe give his teammates points. It's just the monster. It's the nature of the beast here in the playoffs, and it's going to be interesting to see how it works out amongst those guys. Bobby Anderson gets a big jump. That jump that you said you don't want to have here. I think it's going to work out for him, though, because, yeah, Kevin Winker going to drop down below him, so he shouldn't be anticipating anybody really getting a big run. But if it lines up correctly on the exit of 2, that 42 could whip on the outside of that 18 and just blow on by him.
Looks like he was thinking about it there when he had that run and getting pulled towards that tailgate of the 18. But decided better of it and just to stay in line here and maybe just try to get things sorted out for a little while before being the catalyst of everything that's going to start breaking up this field and really causing those 2-3 wide racing. Only one out of that bottom lane right now is going to be Andrew Harris in the 87. He's going to be stuck outside, though, with no help unless somebody helps out there and decides to make that move to the outside. But I think everybody's pretty content just to ride around that yellow line for now.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of being independent, and Andrew Harris, not on any team, is going to be hard-pressed to find anybody willing to let him get in line here. So we could be seeing that 87 truck fall quite a bit, but right now trying to pull off the side drafts to stay up there with everybody. We'll see if he's able to do so cleanly, but for the most part, everybody's single file.
Yeah, and I think you're waiting for maybe 1 or 2 more trucks to try to jump up to that outside, and I think that's going to be what really starts everybody going, and there you go. Big line starting to form on the outside. That's a few of the JBR trucks leading that train. In fact, that's 4 of the JBR trucks. All of them except for James Kerr, who's running in the 3rd position, all in that outside line.
Yeah, I have no doubt he will be a part of this pack when they do get up there. I don't think it's an if. I think it's a win at this point. With how well they formed up, we'll see how many positions they gain here with this move. But Corey Knight just in front of him just had a blank right there He's going to shuffle in up there too. Joseph DuPont now opting to move up. So we got a whole line of do-gooders and a whole line of JBR trucks up top.
It almost makes me wonder if they had a little alliance going there with the way that they all just kind of lined up there, or just a nice little coincidence for both of those teams, because they're having a strong run, and now JBR is starting to join that strong run that the do-gooders have had all night here at Talladega. And that inside line might be sitting in a pretty rough position here pretty quickly if that line catches up. Kevin Winker going to jump to the outside to lead that train.
Yeah, this is going to be bad, though, potentially, because Andrew Harris is going to make it 3 wide here for the lead. Getting a big push from Taylor Swift, or Taylor Smith. I almost said Taylor Swift, Brandon. I think it's, I don't know what it is, but it's in the air tonight because we're all feeling it.
It's we're the last race before the holiday break here, so we're in the vacation mindset, I think, right now. But Kevin Winker still trying to make that middle work. I also think we do have some lap traffic coming up here. One of the damaged trucks, I believe that's Stan Carnathan in the 43. That's going to be up on the outside, and Taylor Smith is going to have a tough time with one because he's up by the wall and going to be trapped by that lapped car.
Yeah, that's going to kill his momentum too. So I think he's going to lose the draft here of this lead pack potentially. But like I said, I had a feeling that this was going to be how it is until the end of this race. It's almost time for that go time moment where you got to get up to the front and hold that position. So Andrew Harris not necessarily up front, but he has the front spot in that top line. He's got to try and defend that. And we got a little bit of an incident in the back. Rob Yost off pace. He got involved with some other drivers. I see Sean Jensick also off the pace as well. So these drivers, Lucas Lyons, another one of those. So we got 2 playoff drivers here that were involved in a little bit of a scuffle, finding themselves well off the draft. That's 28th and 29th.
I think I saw Michael Madden back there as well. So I think we're looking at 3 of our above the cut line drivers all sitting outside of the top 25. And in fact, all 5 of the cut line drivers. That doesn't seem right. Actually, no, that is right there. Because Landon Cardulo is sitting in the 22nd position because the JBR trucks, actually, that line that they had really fell off the pace and they kind of slid back to the back.
Wow, that's really surprising considering how well formed it was and well coordinated it seemed as well. But definitely something to pay attention to. They might just be, waiting for that one last big one that, Techmeyer kind of teased and said, they're going to run this way for 15 laps and then it's going to get crazy out here. Well, they might just want to get crazy now. So a lot of these guys still have their fast repair. So it's just giving them that little extra dose of confidence. And that's why we're seeing this. It's great racing, but I would like to also call it crazy racing.
It is. It's fantastic to watch, however you want to label it. But this is really going to be a huge shakeup in the point standings if this caution doesn't come. I really think that Daytona really scared some of these guys from trying to be up near the front at this point in the race when we're really starting to get to that buckle down time where you got to start getting up near the front if you're going to have a shot at this thing if it stays green. Because Daytona, we had a similar race, a couple of cautions that popped up midway through, but then near the end it was just carnage all over the place. I think we had 3 or 4 big wrecks near the end of that race, and I think that's kind of spooked some of these guys.
I'm really curious to see if this 87 truck is able to take command of this field, because I noticed on that last shot that he has some rear spoiler damage, and that could affect how well that truck drafts here in the pack. So this could be why the 47, or the 87, is having a little bit of trouble making that last final push up towards the front. And some of these guys have been taking notice of that. Brad Rivers making a power move up to the outside to get on the bumper of Kevin Winker and help push him up there. So we'll see which line prevails. Right now looks like more in the middle lane because they have more trucks. So that line's going to slide on by Kevin Winker and Brad Rivers. But things starting to heat up here as we're 3 wide. And we got about 20 trucks here up in this top pack.
Actually got 4 wide there for a minute coming out of turn 4, about 15th position. But we're still going to be 3 by 3 by 3 from second on back to about the 13th position here. Unbelievable racing we're seeing at Talladega with a lot on the line for some of these guys near the back. But among those guys, though, Bobby Anderson, the only playoff driver inside the top 8 at this point. Now Blair Holloman jumping up in there. But we're seeing a huge separation from these playoff drivers.
Yeah, Blair Holloman coming with a vengeance. He's up there on that high side lane. That's really making a move that pushed Kevin Winker out to the front. He drops all the way to the bottom, and that's not going to be any good for Brad Rivers and Blair Holloman because they needed him to help keep that draft as well as it was. So that top pack going to fall back a little bit. But new leader, Kevin Winker, he is going to be fighting off Andrew Harris, who's still trying to get that 87 truck up to the front.
And the Dale Jr. paint scheme with a Dale Jr. type move coming from the wall all the way down to the apron to make that move to hold on to the front and get in front of Bobby Anderson. Unbelievable there, but still side by side up front. And it's Kevin Winker and Andrew Harris. And Harris might still be thinking about being left there in the dirt there by Kevin Winker when he was getting that shove from the 42 a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, well, we're going to see if he's able to clear the 42 this time. Not able to do so as they head down into turn 3 wide, with the 69 leading the top line, the 87 leading the middle line, and the 42 leading the inside line. So it is ramping up here. And I know that those guys that we just mentioned in the playoffs that got into that little bit of scuffle not too long ago with Yost are going to be liking what they're seeing up here because they are praying for a caution.
8 laps to go. Oh man, this is, if they hold on the rest of the way to the racing that we're seeing, that is going to be an incredible job by these Truck Series drivers. This has been one of the better super speedway races I've seen here in SRN since I joined at the start of last season. This has just been fantastic tonight.
Bobby Anderson now in front of Andrew Harris leading that outside line. I believe we're going to see a clear here. Does he drop down in front of the 42? I don't think so. Now the 42 starts to move back ahead of the 18. The 75 getting a little squirrely there. So it's really hard for the 32 to get up on his bumper and help push that line. So that's kind of going to even it back out, maybe get a push for the outside line. It's just a game of chess here. And who's really confident in their pushing skills? So you got to get up on that bumper. We mentioned it. You don't really want to push too aggressively in these trucks. But if you get right up on that bumper within a couple of inches, it's essentially the same thing. So we're seeing a lot of that right now, and that's why a lot of these guys have some great control out front.
Yeah, they've done a great job with iRacing and how they kind of added that little bubble is what a lot of people call it, a beach ball effect, basically, that if you get close enough, the air is generating enough power that it's going to give you the same boost as if you were just pushing the truck that's in front of you. But the thing that I don't think gets talked about a whole lot, we talk about the aggression level, but I think at this point in the race, with how there's so many moves that come at the last second, it really makes you unconfident on if you want to be pushing the person that's in front of you if you're right behind somebody, because you don't know when they're going to make a move like what we just saw with Kevin Winker there going towards the tri-oval when he just shot to the right a little bit, maybe trying to block that run, then thinking that was going to be a little bit late. But moves like that make the person that's pushing behind you really uncertain about what you're going to be doing the rest of the way. It makes it hard to predict.
Well, Bobby Anderson clears the 42. He is back out in front of this inside line, which is seeming to be the dominant line so far where everybody wants to be. So that gives Andrew Harris the clean air on that middle lane. See if he can get that push from the 88 out to the front. Corey Knight just behind the 88. So the do-gooders is starting to form back up. I see Taylor Smith also in that middle lane as well. So 3 do-gooder trucks up in the front. I love seeing them run well. You know, they haven't had the season that they wanted by any means, but a great night tonight.
And they are putting together a fantastic performance. And still, look at this. The top 16 drivers only have 2 playoff drivers. 14 not in the playoffs running inside that top 16 as we come down to 5 laps to go.
Yeah, this could be a massive night for Bobby Anderson as well as Blair Holloman, who would make a big point gap as well on those drivers above the cut line. So it is going to be very interesting whenever we do finally get the standings after this race. Wow, Milkowick's getting really close to the wall up there. But keeps it off of it. Great job by the 33. But, yeah, it is going to shake things up as we have 5 laps to go, and we have no clue who is going to win this thing.
This is unbelievable. We're seeing 4 wide starting to happen at times, as we did a little bit ago coming out of turn 2 with Don Milkowitz up by the wall, trying to make that 4 wide work to get by couldn't tell who that was, but to make a pass for position. The lead pack sitting single file, or double file, I should say, as they work their way by, I believe that was Rob Yost, getting put down 1 lap. As we now have 3 laps to go, and there's going to be 4 laps to go, and the intensity just going to ramp up even more each time by that stripe.
Yeah, and to mention, you just mentioned Rob Yost and a few of those drivers who we're not sure exactly what happened, but Madden and Lyons and Jensick, they are now 23 seconds behind this pack. So they are absolutely praying for a caution. Otherwise, I'm not sure how the rest of their playoffs is going to look. This is a huge gap that we're seeing here between some of these drivers sitting outside the cut line. So this not playing into their hands how they wanted it to tonight. And that's exactly what we said was the issue with sitting in the back. So it goes either way. Sometimes it works for you. Sometimes it doesn't.
And it's trapped 7 of the 10 playoff drivers outside of the top 20 as Kevin Winker trying to find a lane to block, but he's going to be stuck in the middle 3 wide as Andrew Harris trying to do it by himself on the outside. Now he's got a little help. I believe it's Corey Knight behind him. Oh, there we go. Turn 1.
Here we go. They save it.
Wow.
We stay green. There are no trucks spinning. They saved it there. We are still green on the track with 3 laps to go. Bobby Anderson still out in front.
But what that is going to do is generate some gigantic runs for some of these trucks that are going to be behind this top 7 because they can start to build a little bit of a gap to get some momentum to really slingshot their way by these lead trucks here with 2 to go.
Kevin Winker jumps to the outside of the 18. He has the outside line now. It is a drag race to the start-finish line to take 2 laps to go here at the Ketchup 125. Who is going to take it? We will find out in less than 2 minutes if this thing stays green.
Yeah, big if this thing stays green, as we got the top 7 right now, still running 2 by 2 by 2 by 1 there with Corey Knight being able to pick a lane, but that line behind them starting to close back in, led by, I believe that was Don Milkowitz back there and Blair Holloman starting to close this gap in, and we're about to have a 12 or 13 truck battle for the lead as we come down to the white flag here pretty shortly.
Yeah, you notice how they start getting closer and closer to each other, trying to perform those side drafts. And that's where we find a lot of trucks getting into trouble. But coming off of turn 4 right now, if we take this flag, it will be the next flag ends it. So coming to the stripe, Talladega always a little bit unorthodox as their stripe is a little bit past the middle of the dog leg. There we go. 1 flag or 1 lap to go. White flag is out. Next flag ends it. Kevin Winker taking the lead from Bobby Anderson. We see a truck spin to the inside. That was Lucas Lyons in the grass.
Oh, here we go. 3 wide. It's got the outside run. That's going to be led by Andrew Harris and Blair Holloman all the way up by the wall. Holloman going to try to cut down to the middle. He's going to hang Harris out to dry, trying to pick up a couple extra positions.
Yeah, that's a really smart move by the 06 who needs every position he can get. Not going to make any friends doing that, but it's going to pick up the spot that he needs. Now we might see him do the same thing and jump to the outside. 42 and 18 make contact. We're coming to the stripe. Winker comes down, gets into Anderson. What's Anderson going to do? He's going to drive through the grass. 75 spinning. Kevin Winker and DuPont get into it. Blair Holloman now in the lead. They come to the stripe. Blair Holloman wins it.
4 1/1000ths of a second. Blair Holloman with his 2nd win of the season.
Oh my goodness. That all just happened so fast, and it's kind of reminiscent to, a few other super speedway finishes we've had this year. They've been neck and neck photo finishes, and this is exactly that. The chaos behind the field. So you see all sorts of trucks get involved. Tough break for Bobby Anderson, who needed every point he could get. See if we can we go back a little bit and try?
Man, I really thought Bobby Anderson was just going to take it down the pit road and try to shortcut his way in there after getting knocked down there.
Yeah. That's all it took. I'm not sure if we can do an overhead cam of that or what, but that's all you really need to tell the tale of what we just saw. I think we might see some live camera view angle changes here again by our producer. Yeah, just go for it, because I really want to see how close this was, and if we can take it frame by frame to the stripe. This is essentially the finish that we just saw. It came down to, what do you think, Brandon? Maybe like 6 inches?
At most, I mean, you're looking at 0.004 of a second. Just unbelievable there at the line as he's trying to get the perfect shot here, basically, of how close this was. Unbelievable. And, man, look at all the carnage of these trucks behind them, too.
I'm going to give Sean a little bit of a pointer. Do the rear chase. If you can go rear chase and then just slide it over. Boom! That's all we needed right there. Coming to the stripe, that is maybe a foot at most.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Less than one of
cool.
those checker boxes on that stripe is the margin of victory here at Talladega. And there's going to be a lot of drivers frustrated because it is Talladega. We saw the carnage that happened coming out of turn 4 there. That just seems to be what happens when you start getting into that position where you see that win in your sight and you start making some of those aggressive moves. And that's going to leave a lot of people hurting. But one person that's going to be real happy with this one is Blair Holloman in that 06. And he might as well be moving into that top 5 in the point standings as well.
Yeah, he's almost a shoe-in to get in to that final round now with the gap that he put on the rest of the field. The only driver you see there, Landon Cardulo, inside the top 5. Brad Herman also finishing 19th as well. But a lot of celebrations taking place out on track because I just want to give a big shout-out. I know we're going to interview him in a little bit, but congratulations to Taylor Smith and Corey Knight. They're out there having a blast right now celebrating with the two of them, and you know, they don't really get the good finishes that they deserve sometimes, and it's really cool to see them out there in the top 5.
Yeah, that was very, very cool. Great run for the do-gooders tonight, and honestly, you're looking at the point standings. I mean, the team side of it, that's going to have a gigantic shakeup as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting when we get to that point of our season here. When we get to Texas next week, it's going to be a very shaken up standings list that we have. But let's give you the race results. You can see them on your screen right here. Blair Holloman wins over Andrew Harris by 4/1000ths of a second. Taylor Smith coming home in 3rd. Jason Kratky in 4th, and Corey Knight in 5th.
6th place will be A.J. Pritchett. Then 7th will be Troy Techmeyer, Kevin Winker, and Bobby Anderson, 8th and 9th after leading the trains coming out of turn 4 on that final lap. Michael York will round out the top 10.
And 11th is going to be Don Milkowicz, Joseph DuPont in 12th, Mike Mosby in 13th, Kyle Wimble in 14th, and Walt Lipicki having a good top 15 tonight.
Top driver in the top 5 of the playoff standings entering tonight is going to be Landon Cardulo in 16th place. Dave Fuge Jr. will be in 17th after that great save with a couple laps to go that almost brought out that caution. Jack Johnson will be in the 18th position. 19th will be another one of our top 5 drivers entering tonight, Brad Herman. And James Kerr had a great run, does not get the reward he deserves, but will wind out in the 20th position.
All right, well, let's go ahead now, move on to the interview portion of our show and get our top 3 drivers up here. Let's bring up Taylor Smith up to the booth. Taylor, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up here in the SRM booth. First off, congratulations to you as well as your teammates. I know you guys have not had the season that you wanted, but an absolutely fantastic run out here tonight at Talladega. Congratulations. How you feeling after that, man?
Man, me and Corey are pretty pumped about our top 5 finishes. We were doing our own little donuts on the backstretch.
It was a good sight seeing that celebration there, and well deserved with the podium. 2 top 5s here in this race as well. So what went into it for the team? Like, how was the communication through all that chaos? We were seeing 3 wide, 4 wide near the end of that run. How were you all able to just continue to stay together there?
We were talking nonstop throughout the race, me and Corey and DuPont, about trying to stick together and seeing if we could come out of this alive. But that last lap, coming out of 4, it was every man for itself. And I'm shocked I didn't get collected in that, because I always do.
Yeah, it's always a little bit of a shock when you get a bit of a lucky hand from upstairs. So definitely need some luck here at Super Speedways. But great run tonight for you guys. We were definitely rooting you on up here. We love seeing the do-gooders run up front. But before we let you go, celebrate with your teammates a little bit more. You got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a shout-out to?
Yeah. Just shout out to the do-gooders. This team is unlike any other. I think we reminiscent of the 75 Dolphins, when they went undefeated. Maybe not in the victory column, but we make up for it in fun. And I'd like to thank Jason Tripp for organizing such a great league, and you guys in the booth. Y'all sound like a professional broadcast, like legit ESPN stuff. And I really enjoy the broadcast, so thank you guys.
Well, like I say to everybody when they say that, it really helps when you guys put on a show like you do each week. So we appreciate you for saying that. But Taylor, man, I know you got some celebrating to do. You guys are going to have a blast tonight. So congrats again, and go have some fun, bud.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, well, that was Taylor Smith coming home in third. Reminiscent, he said, of the 75 Dolphins, who I believe was that undefeated team. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, he said not so in the win column, but they just have a fun doing what they do. So that's exactly what we saw here tonight. I'm trying. There is Andrew Harris. Let's go ahead and bring up Andrew Harris up to the booth. Andrew, it's Greg and Brandon up here in the SRN broadcast booth. Man, you were 0.004 of a second away from pulling off that W here. Tell us how you're feeling, and could you have done anything differently to maybe pull off the W?
I'm not really sure, to be honest, and I just pulled it up 0.004. That's probably the closest I've ever got second to. As for what I could have done differently, I don't know. I tried to make a move to the outside a little bit earlier, I think coming out of 2, and people weren't feeling it, and I think I got lucky there with a little bit of wrecking. I just wanted to be able to pull on Holloman. And I looked to my left, and I saw he was like door to door, and I was like, did I get it? Did I get it?
Well, we were watching going down the back straightaway there, and it almost seemed like he got hung out to dry on that up by the wall going into turn 3, and that actually turned out to maybe just be the best thing for you there, kind of dropping you back just that little bit and getting you out of that chaos that happened up coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, I think so. I think that now that I'm independent for the rest of the season and everything, and I don't have really a team that I got going with me, I did kind of get a little bit hung out to dry, but I've learned something, and if we've learned anything off of iRacing at super speedways, you don't necessarily want to be first when you're going into the turn 3 and 4. It's just because there's going to be something that happens up front.
For sure, and we saw that tonight. We've seen that other nights as well. So that just goes to show the veteran that you are here in SRN, and that's why you had a shot to win tonight, man. So congratulations. You've not had really the year that you wanted after having a great season last year, but might be just ending it the way you want it. So congrats again. But before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, actually this is the first week that I ever had an actual in-game spotter, like a real person. My roommate Ian Foster, I'm sure you saw him pop up on the top of the screen sometime randomly during the middle of the race, so I had to set him up on how to do that. But I want to thank him for coming in and helping me out, spotting and everything like that. And it was really good to talk to you guys again. Hopefully next season will turn around for me again. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man, I'm sure we will see you around, as you are always flirting with the front of the pack, but we'll send you back down. Maybe go celebrate with your spotter tonight. You might have to buy him a beer or something. I don't know. I'm sure you'll figure it out, but congrats again on the second, and just so close to getting that W.
Well, I got second place. I'm going to take second place shots.
All right, there you go. All right, buddy. Well, have a good night. We will speak to you maybe next time at Texas.
See you guys later.
All right, that was Andrew Harris. Not having the year that he wanted, like he said, but always up there towards the front, especially in these super speedway races. Now, to the man of the hour, let's go ahead and bring up Blair Holloman. Blair, we spoke to you a little bit earlier on in the race. A little bit chiller than I'm probably assuming you are right now. What just happened out there?
Honestly, I'm not exactly certain on what happened there. I went into the last lap. I thought I was 8th, and thought I put myself in decent shoes to at least come away with maybe 6th or 7th place in points coming out of 4, and they started smacking each other, and I lucked out and didn't get hit.
Well, how about the combination of wins for you now this year? You got a road course and a super speedway. It's two completely different animals out there, but I think the bigger thing that comes out of this is, we had the top 5 playoff drivers the best finish for any of them was 16th place tonight. So this is just a huge points night for you looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's a really, really amazing thing to see there for me, because I went into this week having to think about points, and anytime you see a super speedway, the last thing you want to think about is points. I think Kyle Busch said it best, where if you can come away with 12th place, that feels like a win. But I was able to get it done, and I'm very happy that I was able to do that, and also happy that I got to celebrate a victory with my brother Yost there. Glad to finally got to do a burnout with him.
Yeah, big family day for you, man. You got to celebrate with your brother out there, and it's your brother Dustin's birthday, so you get the win for him. I'm sure he's absolutely ecstatic for you after that finish, man. We were going nuts up here. That was just, an epic finish here in SRN. But, man, it sets you up for, like what Brandon said, really a chance for you to advance into the top 5 potentially in Atlanta. What are you thinking about Texas next week? Or in 2 weeks, sorry.
It kind of, in 2 weeks. It kind of takes some of the weight off my shoulders. I still want to do really well at Texas and just be able to point myself into that final 5 for Atlanta. But this definitely gives me confidence and kind of that momentum to be able to go into Texas and hopefully keep it going.
Yeah, well, we expect to see you running up towards the front, and just try to keep the same mindset you had heading into Dega this week, because now, you know what? All those drivers that weren't worrying about points this week are now worrying about points, that were in the same boat as you. So congrats again, man. But before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to give a shout out to the sponsor on the hood, Customer Club. That's Dustin's business. Glad I got the win for him there. I got Bassmore Speedway on the deck lid of the truck. All my buddies that work there with me. Macro Tools with my tool guy, Roy Salisbury. I know my dad's watching this. I know he's definitely happy to see it. And I know there's a couple of friends out there that are watching. So I'm glad they got to see me get it done here, especially as a chaotic track as Talladega can be.
Yeah, I'm sure they're just really happy for you out there, man. You're one of the really good guys in this league, so you got a lot of fans out there in the chat. So congratulations again. Go have fun celebrating with Rob, and go maybe we should just celebrate your brother's birthday every week, and maybe that's your good luck charm.
I don't know what the good luck charm is, but I definitely need to hone in on it, because I think I may have found a little something in the last couple weeks, but I don't know what it was.
Awesome, man. Well, we look forward to seeing you out there in that hunting truck, as you called it, in Texas, and just go have fun celebrating with everybody out there, and have a good night, bud.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good Thanksgiving coming up here. We'll catch you in 2 weeks.
All right, man. Congrats again, and take care. All right. Well, that was our winner. I'm just saying, man, I would have still been breathing heavily from that finish alone, so good on him for just being super chill during the interview.
I mean, I'm also kind of sitting there with an elevated heart rate, and I wasn't even out there. So that was an incredible finish, incredibly tight racing there at the end, and oh my, we shake up city when it comes to the point standings.
Okay, so we just talked to Blair, and I have to imagine he had no doubt that he would now be in first place in the standings. But look at that. Sits at the top of the board with a good 17-point gap to the cut line, and that pushed a lot of drivers outside.
So
Madden and Lucas Lyons both falling outside of the top 5, and Michael's sitting 4 points behind Brad Herman. Jonathan Byer, though, sitting 10 points outside of that top 10.
Yeah, and I mean, you're looking at a 21-point gap that Blair Holloman has to play with going to Texas in 2 weeks. That's a lot of room out there. That's still something that is going to be a little bit on edge. But that's a solid day on the racetrack. We'll get you into the next round. Landon Cardulo came in as the points leader. He'll still be somewhat safe, 15 points clear. I say somewhat safe, but that's comparatively. But I really like seeing 5 different teams represented among the top 5 as we go to the final race in this middle leg to see which 5 drivers are going to be going to Atlanta.
Yeah, it is really cool to see, but a lot of these drivers are going to be sweating all week. Just like I said, Blair was the one that was worried about points last week. Everybody is going to be worried about points heading into Texas Motor Speedway for the Lone Star 135. And catch that action in 2 weeks from today, because as everybody knows, it's Turkey Day next Thursday. So we are off all week in SRN. We are off the rest of the week this week in SRN. This was the only race we were doing this week to catch up on the schedule. So we are all caught up. All 3 series will be heading to Texas for their cutoff race just before Atlanta.
Yeah, and this is it's a long break, which is going to be good for some people, but for some of these guys that are on a little bit of edge right now, seeing how close that points race is for those 5 drivers to advance, that's going to be a long 2 weeks to be thinking about what's going to happen in Texas on December 1st.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild one. We had, last year was our championship race at Texas, and that was wild in the trucks. So I imagine we will see a lot of the same action this year at the 1.5 mile speedway out in No Limits, Texas. But that is going to be it for us tonight, for us this week, and for us next week as well. So from all of us here at Speed Racing Network, we'd like to wish you guys a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Enjoy spending it with family, friends, whoever it is. But just do it safely so we can see you guys back here on Wednesday, December 1st. But from all of us here at SRN, we wish you guys a good night and go faster.